Hello, everybody, and welcome to Openexo Live. It is really great to be with you this week. And this week we have Donna Marduk, who is calling in from Iraq. And let's get Donna up on screen here. And how are you doing? I guess it's evening for you, or afternoon for you. You're only 1 hour.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Hi, Kevin. Exactly. It's like afternoon, 4:30 something. Yeah.
Perfect. So thanks so much for joining us here on Openexo Live. I always ask the guests who join to just share a little bit about yourself, and how you came to join the Openexo community, for those people who haven't ever come across you within the community.
Yeah, thank you so much for the opportunity. Well, actually, it goes back to 2015, just I think 1 year after the Exponential Organization book was published. And just by, chance, I was looking into the Amazon books. And of course, before that, like 3-4 years, I, bought a book from Amazon every month or every 2 weeks. And I found this book very, different. And I thought that, okay, because then I had a company and still I have, but I mean, I thought this is something new. I have read a lot of other business books about entrepreneurship, but the title was very catchy. And I just bought the book and listened to it. And from the first chapter, it was really different. It was something new for me. So I started listening, and once, twice, 3 times. You can't believe that book became a part of my life. And, the case studies, examples. And then after that, I found out about Peter Diamandis, Salim Ismail, Ray Kurzweil, the whole Singularity University, all of this stuff. And actually, I found every pages and YouTube channels and everything that Openexo offered, and it was really, for me, for my business especially, was revolutionary. And since then, I can say, really, at least, every day I'm trying to listen to something new, like a podcast or a YouTube video that you have, or any other content that Openexo has. And hopefully it was I think 2018, I joined the Openexo, and then I had some certification, and then I became ambassador of Iraq and Kurdistan for Openexo. But unfortunately, I was very busy then. I didn't have time to become engaged. And then we had Corona, and then, all this stuff. But finally, I decided I really needed to get more, engaged with the community. And of course, a lot of things happened during this time that we will talk about it.
No, absolutely. And so, I can remember when you first, joined the community, and even your son went through the foundations, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. Yes.
And so one of the young folks that we had that happen. And so it's really good to connect again after some time, and to really share and let people know a little bit more about yourself and what you're doing. I also always ask people within this call about your massive transformative purpose, right?
Right.
It's so important to an exponential organization. And so would you mind sharing, what your MTP is?
Yeah, exactly. As I told you, since 2015, I was thinking about what can be my MTP. Since then, actually, I've changed 3 or 4 MTPs, because, we are starting working on different fields. But now I can say, since 2 years ago, I really found my MTP really related to what I'm doing, both as a business or my studies that I'm doing, which one of them is, business and health. These 2 fields are 2 main fields that I'm working on that. And as you might know, I am studying now the doctorate of longevity. And at the same time, I have been an entrepreneur for 15 years. I have started a lot of startups. But for my MTP actually is now this, bringing health and wealth for everyone by solving global challenges everywhere. Because, I have learned from Peter and his Salim, that the biggest actually problems and challenges in the world are the biggest businesses of the world. So I thought that the biggest challenges, especially the 15 grand challenges that we are facing from Millennium Project, are the best chances and opportunities to create businesses and to solve those problems. So by solving the problems, I think we can have both wealth and health and happiness even. So this became my MTP.
Awesome. That's really great. And now your shirt there says, I am a futurepreneur.
Yeah.
Can you tell us what you mean by being a futurepreneur?
Yeah. Okay. So let's a little bit go back to actually entrepreneurship. I'm sure that everyone knows because we have read a lot of books about it. But if you remember, entrepreneurship, let's say the modern type of it started like 100 years ago by companies, multinational corporations like Ford and, people like Rockefeller and Carnegie. They started kind of entrepreneurship. But if the whole entrepreneurship has four main resources, which one of them is land, one of them is capital, one of them is labor, and then the human right to use all of this stuff and create a, let's say, business. So I think now entrepreneurship really is not enough for 21st century. And again, as Salim always says, that the old traditional entrepreneurship never can create a business like Airbnb and Uber, right, with an exponential organization business model. So I think it's time to transform this entrepreneurship to futurepreneurship, because in the time like 50 years ago or 100 years ago, we were living in a really linear world, right? There weren't a lot of changes as now today we face. So, but I can see from 80s, 90s, then with the, internet and then social media, everything changed. And I think still a lot of people are in the 20th century business models with entrepreneurship. And I think it's really not enough. Entrepreneurship is not enough for the quickly, fast changing world, and especially the VUCA world that maybe you can talk about it later. Volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous world that we are living in. So I thought that, okay, probably we need to upgrade it, or let's say add something more to it. So I started by future thinking. It was like 6 years ago when I became a member of World Future Studies Federation. I really didn't know that we have an academic field so rich with the name of future studies or future thinking, but then step by step I became familiar with it, with the techniques that are there in this field. And then I thought that, okay, these two fields really need each other. We need foresight, future thinking, or forward thinking, let's say, for entrepreneurs to see the signals and trends. They can actually somehow anticipate what's going on. And as you know, a lot of big businesses like, the traditional examples, the classical examples like Nokia and Kodak, they failed because they could not anticipate the changes ahead. They were linear thinkers, right? So I thought that, okay, we need something like this. Then I came up with the word futurepreneurship, a mix of entrepreneurship with all those foundations, with the future studies field. But just it was not enough again until like 2 years ago. I thought that we still need more and more parts of it, which exponential organization is the third element that I added to it. And still there are more, because we cannot really start a business now if we want to scale it quickly without the exponential organization model.
Okay, and so you've taken all this thinking and your understanding of EXO and of the future studies, and put that all together into a book, right? So how has that process been? And can you share a little bit about what's in the book?
Yeah. Well, I would like to share the slide that we have, if you could just share it so that I can talk more about it. I have defined 7 pillars or foundations for the futurepreneurship. And of course, I have not invented any of them. I have just tried to emerge them and use, because they are somehow really helping each other in each field. So the first one is definitely the foundation of futurepreneurship is entrepreneurship, because we really need some qualifications for the people who call themselves entrepreneurs, but it's not enough. So future thinking is a method that will help us with the techniques like, environment scanning, like scenario planning, like backcasting, like Delphi, technique, like a lot of other techniques that we use in future studies. So I thought that this can help to grow the businesses, to help the businesses actually. And then exponential organization is the third part, that we really, as I told you, cannot build a new business with the 20th century business model. But I thought that, okay, how we are going to do all these things, and then with the rising of the AI in 2023 and ChatGPT, becoming democratized, right? I thought that we really need another pillar for futurepreneurship, which is technology, because we cannot do anything. If you look at the exponential organization, we have like scales and ideas, some parts of it really are directly connected with the AI and other technologies. So I thought that another pillar for futurepreneurship that we really need to use it is AI and some other technologies. And of course, everyone knows that. And as Peter Diamandis always says, that the technologies are actually converging in one point, and the implication will be much, much bigger than we really think. Probably in the next just few years, all these technologies that we have, like AI, like quantum computing, like AR, VR, biotechnology, nanotechnology, and many, many more other technologies, they are helping us to use all of them in one place, right? And then I thought that, okay, we have now the foundation of entrepreneurship, future thinking, exponential organization, technology, but how we can actually convey all this meaning maybe to companies, to even, schools and children and new generation, or to the world, right? So I came up with another field or word, or let's say edutainment, right? Edutainment system, which is a mix again of entertainment and education, because education, unfortunately has not changed during the last 100 years, right? Most of the industries have changed, but education still is the same in most of the countries, unfortunately. So I thought that let's say, combining entertainment with the new technologies like AR, VR, gamification, with teaching can be very interesting, especially for new generation, because, Generation Z and Alpha, they've grown up with internet, with mobile, with games. So we can actually help companies, organizations, governments, schools, universities, by using the edutainment system to, let's say, convey the whole meaning and concept of futurepreneurship. Then, since 12 years ago, actually, Kevin, I was involved in studying about health and longevity. And until recently that I started my academic education about longevity, I found out that business and body almost are very much the same, in terms of their system. But our body is a system, and a business is exactly as a life system, right? So I started thinking about both of them, and I thought that if we really want to have a scalable, healthy organization, we can use some lessons from our body and system, a healthy body, right? And at the same time, vice versa, for being a healthy human, we can use some, let's say, concept from a business or an organization, how it works. So I came up with this, that we need to have something like healthgivity, which is again mixed up the word health and longevity that I combined again, because we don't only want an organization or a company to be healthy, right? We want it to be for years, for tens and hundreds of years. Because as you know, the lifespan of companies, especially after 21st century, from 65 years, now it's like decreased to like 15 years, right? So it actually told me, it came to my mind that this part is something necessary to be in the futurepreneurship mindset. And finally, community. I know that in exponential organization, we have an attribute called crowd and community, but this one is much, much broader, because we really cannot do anything almost these days without a powerful community, without empowering the community, whether it's organization or it's a company. We really need a powerful community. So this one is also one of the pillars of futurepreneurship. So these 7 parts all together, I can say, is a method or system that can help organizations and companies to almost deal with really this fast changing world that we are living in.
Awesome. And I know that you have you've said that this has taken quite a lot of thinking, a lot of work, and that ultimately you have submitted this, to speak later on in the year. You want to share a little bit about that and when the book will actually then be available?
Yeah, sure. Actually, if you look at, let's say, those 7 pillars, it's somehow very related to the evolution of my work and job, because, for 15 years I was an entrepreneur, and I thought that it's not enough. Then I studied future thinking, and I thought that it can be helpful. Then I became familiar with exponential organization, then some technologies, and again, edutainment and healthivity, and finally the community that now we are creating. So for the book, actually, probably in 3 months, because in Paris there is a conference of World Future Studies Federation for the 50th anniversary. So I will have a presentation there, and let's say I will present my book there, and then it will be available. But I can tell you very soon, chapter 1 will be, let's say, published for free throughout the community, so I can get some feedback, and people can read it and see the other chapters. And I think it would be a good chance for me also to get some feedbacks from the community.
Awesome. Now that'll be really great. Ultimately, using the EXO model, would you say you actually have leveraged it in writing the book, and how are you actually, since learning about EXO, have you been leveraging the actual model in your daily sort of activities?
Yeah, well, actually, I think it was a real paradigm shift for me, because just like many more people, we are thinking linearly. And we don't know that we are thinking linear until we are introduced to exponential mindset, right? Because when you don't know, you don't know, right? This is the problem. But for me, for my personal life first, and then for my business, I found that it can be a really huge change to use this exponential mindset, because, in linear, you only focus on very short-term period, right? Probably 1 year or 2 years, not more than that. But both exponential mindset and future thinking taught me that we have to see the big picture, at least think about 10 years, 20 years, because if we only focus on today or this year, definitely we will miss a lot of things. Because, for example, in at least our country, things are much slower than other places of the world. There are companies who want to launch a product, right? They work on the product 2-3 months for marketing, 2-3 months for producing. And probably when it comes to the market, it will be obsolete, right? Because already there are some other products or services that are out there that are much better than them. So this is a problem that some companies have here, and we try to help them by teaching them about the EXO model. But it's because it's about a mindset, really. It's not easy, because you have to convince a CEO. And as we talk about it, the immune system of an organization will not allow you to do that. So yeah, it's really difficult, but it's amazing.
No, absolutely. once you have folks within an organization understanding the power of exponential organizations, then that's definitely more of a gateway. But you're 100% right. I mean, you hit the immune system very often, unfortunately, and the thing that's really difficult is the fact that it's actually quite a simple model, the EXO model. Now, the speaking about the future, though, would you say that you are fairly optimistic about the future? Being someone who does future studies, do you think you're fairly optimistic? And if so, why? And why should others be optimistic?
Yeah. Well, naturally human being, we are not based on our amygdala and the brain system, our neurology. We are not optimistic, right? Because we tend to listen to bad news and pay more attention to the bad news because it's a kind of evolutionary survival mechanism, right? But for me, I think since really I remember maybe when I was a child, I was optimistic about most of the thing. And then when I learned about future, I thought that I should be optimistic. And at least it's better to be optimistic because it's really different when you are pessimist about the future events. It can affect you, right? Because your mindset matters really. If you think negatively, too much negative about the future, there will be a lot of stress on you. And the stress will not allow you to do the thing that you want to do. And then you see that bad things happen to you. And then you say, oh, yeah, I thought that it would be like this, so I was true. But if you are optimistic and then you get energy, you are motivated, and if even there are some problems, of course there are problems and obstacles toward your goals, but you learn it. You see it as an experience and you see it as a natural process, right? So for me, I can say 99% really optimistic, at least around the friends that we have, because some of them, especially about new technologies, AI, they are so pessimistic. They are somehow even afraid of the future. But I say, and we learn actually in future studies that future is not something that happens to us. Future is something that we create by today's decision that we make, okay? So depending on the decision, and it can be daily decisions, small decisions, we can create that future, whether it's bad or good, right? So it teaches us that we need to create that future. And as we study, we have something, we call it preferable future, something, the future that I prefer to happen. So I have to do something about it. So absolutely, I'm optimistic. I see the bad side, negative sides of the technology and growth and all of the thing. And it's a part of the growth. But we need to focus more on better things, positive sides, and do not neglect the other negative sides. And of course, we'll find solution for other part.
No, absolutely. And Ahmad said here, what is something anyone can do to be a little more optimistic about the future? Okay, great question. Well, it's about mindset. We need to, as I told you, our minds, our brain, our mindset normally, naturally is negative, right? So every day we have to fight, in the morning when we get up. It's an ongoing war against ourselves, our brain actually, as Daniel Kahneman actually in the book, Thinking Slow and Fast, talks about two brain systems, like slow thinking or fast thinking, let's say system 1 and system 2. The system 1 is our reptilian brain, which keeps us from being optimistic, right? Because we are always facing with dangers. So we have to make quick decisions. But at the same time, system 2, which is, let's say, more developed brain system, our prefrontal cortex, it's more logical part of our brain. So we think about an event or something that happens. So we don't make a decision at the moment. We tend to think more about the future, about the consequences, okay? So if we use the system 2 of our brain,
which thinks a little bit more about the future, it can help us to become more optimistic. Because if we only live at the moment and think about the today and this moment, yes, it will be absolutely negative. And it's like, our brain is like just a muscle. We need to train it every single day. See the positive things in the changing. For example, the technology now, in each part of the technology is helping us as a human, and we are living in the best time of the history for now, even though there are some problems yet, but still this technology is helping us. So I think it's all depends on our mindset, and we need to grow it by thinking a little bit further, like few years later. And I think future thinking definitely can be very helpful in this term.
Yeah, absolutely. I also would say to Ahmad, there's a great book which is called Positive Intelligence by Shizad Shamain. I don't know if I've said his name right, but it's a really, really great book that tells us about those sort of saboteurs within your mind, right? And being able to identify them. So, Donna, we have come to the end of the time. I always ask one question as I end, which is, if there was just one thing you could share with people today who are watching, what would that one thing be as we end the call?
Yeah. Well, I think seeing the big picture in our life, all right, is one of the most important skill. I think it's a skill, right? Because it allows you to plan for your life within a period of 20, 30, even you can think like 100 years. Because if you think that you're going to live like 100 years, definitely your today would be different. Of course, pessimistic people, probably they will get lazier, right? But optimistic people, they say, okay, that's great. I have this enough time. So I have time for learning a lot of different skills. So seeing the big picture in business also is very helpful, because we are ahead of some other people and organizations and companies, because we can see the changes. We can see the trends and the signals that other people might not be able to see it. So I think this is a really important skill. And sorry, we didn't have enough time to talk about the futurepreneurship's pillars in detail, but I think in next week's masterclass, we'll have enough time to talk more about the details.
Absolutely. Donna, it's been wonderful chatting with you. And we will see you in next week's masterclass, as well as in the community. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
So great chatting with Donna. As he said, he will be giving a masterclass on the 7 pillars. And if you didn't see his EXO Insight article that came out today, do go check it out at insight.openexo.com. And with that, we will end off today's show. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you all again soon.